Hi, everyone. Cecilia from ISSIP here. We have an ISSIP ambassador, Marialuisa Saviano, joining us from Italy. Hi, Marialuisa. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Cecilia.
Hello. Welcome.
We have extra guests here too, joining us from Italian Association for Sustainability Science, Fabio and Stefano. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, Cecilia. Hi, everyone.
Could you guys introduce yourselves to the ISSIP community?
Okay, for sure. Before starting this interview, I would like to thank you, all the ISSIP community, and especially Jim Sporer for inviting me to become an ambassador for the ISSIP. My intention here is not only to introduce the IAS to the ISSIP community, but also to try to stimulate the interest of the IAS community towards the ISSIP. That is also something that I made in the past together with Fabio. The Italian Association for Sustainability Science was born in 2013 from a foundational meeting we had 2 years before, and also after a long collaboration with the International Society of Sustainability Science based in Tokyo. Here I am, in fact, with Fabio Orecchini and Stefano Gazziano, who are both members of the board of directors. And let me say also that Fabio was also the first president of our association. So we were all founding members of the association. So my idea for this interview, that is my proposal to the ISSIP as an ambassador, this joint interview, because I would like to give, on the one hand, an overview of the possible connection between the two communities, but also, and I am personally play the role of a connecting people, connecting person, because I am both interested in sustainability and in service science. But I also wanted to allow you to go deep in some of the ideas for possible collaboration and allow discussing about those, to Fabio and Stefano, or more specific ideas about current projects of the IAS. Regarding my personally myself, I am currently full professor of management at the University of Salerno. I work at the Department of Pharmacy, and I am also the director of the Pharmanomics. It is an interdepartmental research center, which includes not only the Department of Pharmacy, but also that of Medicine and that of Management and Innovation System, where I also teach the course of Service and Retail Management. I am working at the department now at the Pharmacy as a management scholar, I mean, because it gives me the opportunity to be exposed to deal with every day, to deal with the problem of inter, multi, and also transdisciplinarity, which to me are still the main challenges of this kind of knowledges. I mean, referring to service science and also to sustainability science. And let me say that it was also this experience to stimulate me to go toward the interest toward service on the one hand and also sustainability on the other hand, because I see many commonalities between the two fields. And I would say that there is a clear reason why my interest went to go toward these two fields. It is related to system thinking. And I would say that all started in the 19th when I started my research at the University of Salerno together with Sergio Barile, which is the person with which I much collaborated over my experience in the university. And he introduced me to system thinking and also involved me into the development of the viable system approach. You already heard about it from other ambassadors of the ISSIP. So it was a system thinking that opened my mind and led me to recognize these possible commonalities and the relevance of system of service as a general theory for service system. And on the other hand, to recognize that the sustainability and sustainability science could be a possible paradigm or reference for both the communities. So I also benefit from the experience at the Naples Forum on Service, where thanks to Francesco Polese and Cristina Mele, together with Ever Gumeson, but also, of course, Jim Sporer, Steve Vargo, Bob Lash, Jacqueline Pels, Ralph Badinelli, Javier Reynoso, Irene Ng. We had the chance to compare our view and to start this kind of scientific collaboration. So I would say that my moving across these different contexts led me to recognize the importance, the need of having some very general schemes of reference to use in different contexts of knowledge, like the one I am experiencing at the Department of Pharmacy, that is also including agricultural sciences. So many different disciplinary contexts for which, for me, was pretty easy, try to catch the basic principles using the system thinking. So essentially, to me, it is important to recognize the relevance of these general frameworks of reference to share in many different disciplinary, professional, and practical operation contexts. That's why I start to think about the collaboration between the two communities. And I try to involve the YAS community within the Naples Forum on Service, and we presented some works together with Fabio and also Francesca Farioli and other authors, but I will stop now. I can go back to this story later. Just I want to allow Stefano and Fabio to introduce themselves now.
Should we start with Fabio then? Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I'm Fabio Orecchini. I've had the honor to be the first president of IAS, so of the Italian Association for Sustainability Science, and I'm a founding member and currently in the board of directors. I am an academic, so I'm a full professor of energy and environmental engineering at the University of Rome, Guglielmo Marconi, and I'm also director of masters and study centers at the Lewis Business School in Rome. So this is more or less my academic activity that is focused on sustainability, energy, and mobility. And I'm also senior advisor for a consulting company in Europe, that is Eurogroup Consulting. I'm senior advisor for sustainability and mobility. And I'm also a columnist for an Italian newspaper that is La Repubblica, where I write about environmental and energy and technological issues, mainly linked to the automotive sector. So this is, my activity and my background.
Amazing. Thank you. Stefano?
Yeah, hi. I hope you can hear me well. I tried to set up the right background since I am now at my university, John Campbell University, American University in Rome, in Italy. And my main job is as now a senior expert at the ENEA, the Energy Agency of Italy. I was born a geophysicist, but my generation was absorbed into computer scientists since the late 70s. And my job at the Energy Agency of Italy, after years spent at Eni, the oil company, national oil company in Italy, was basically doing innovation projects, international and domestic innovation projects, based on whatever technology was at that point interesting to promote the use of the renewables, energy efficiency, and sustainability as a whole. I am now exploring the possibilities of having a combined positive result for joining our Sustainable Science Association and service innovation professionals, but certainly service innovation professional has been my job for the last, say, 40 years or more. No, 40, almost 40 years. And I shall be very, very glad to explore any possibilities. My main domain of knowledge is certainly digital technologies. I've been using, I don't want to talk about myself, but I started punching cards in the basement of the physics institute. I've been through many architectures. At the moment, the most important innovation application that I see with an impact on sustainability is mostly numerical controls for digital microgrids, where we can have different sources of distributed production of energy being merged into a localized system that makes the best of available resources, and it's also integrated with the national grid where the national grid exists. This is a concept that was born in New York decades ago after the first blackout, and it's now been applied mostly in rural areas connected off grids. But I think this is going to more detailed part of this meeting. So thank you for having me here.
Thank you. So Marialuisa touched upon, the overlaps between sustainability science and service science. And I think, Fabio, I know that you're an expert in sustainability and then theory to action. Could you just walk us through that?
Yes, in sustainability, I think one very important thing in this moment is to go from theory to action. So going from theory to action, mainly in companies, in industry, we have started a lot of time ago with Marialuisa, an entire field of cooperation between industry and academics in the field of sustainability. Now we have that many companies have already set, sustainability reports, or some of them have already even obtained benefit corporation certification. They are, assessing from an ESG point of view their operation, and or they are planning to neutralize their CO2 emissions. So most of large companies have already approached sustainability, but their operations are still very far from being sustainable. So now what we are working on, and this is also part of my consulting, research and coaching activity with industry, is to go from theory, so from having, paperwork, to having the real effectiveness on the field. So this is something very difficult, because it's quite easy to say you want to do something. It is even quite easy to calculate or to understand how you can neutralize your CO2 emissions. Then it's much more complex to penetrate all your company for changing the operations, for changing the way of doing, for changing the mindset, having sustainability as a real priority. So this is what I'm focused in this moment.
Absolutely. Thanks for pointing out that. I think, this is all about organizational behavior change, right? So it takes much longer than actually we would like to achieve within a given time period. Stefano, would you like to share with us some of the interesting projects you're working on around sustainability science?
Yeah, as I said, the utilization of microgrids in allowing communities to share their renewable or even conventional energy sources makes not only a more efficient type of consumption of energy. We have many cases in Europe when the national grid, which was built like a top-down system, is being dramatically changed by distributed power, which is installed in different the right areas. There are many technical limits, including distributed energy into a national local grid, which was born just to distribute like an aqueduct water to the individual homes. Digital technologies are being applied in that field And at this we are promoting now in the area of Pisa, where I live, my working place is at Siena Research Area of Pisa. We are developing mid-sized local grid. We call it an energy island. Disconnected to the national grid. That there is a large hospital that is being renewed. There are university buildings and a new pediatric hospital being built, and a new department of chemistry, which is also building a new building. These places do have their own power systems. Particularly, the new hospital has a 8 megawatt power plant on its own to be able to work in standalone mode when by any chance a flood or some energy outage happens. This kind of technology is able to combine thermal heat, hot water, and electric energy in a bidirectional exchange in multi-point bidirectional access. It's a microgrid application for industrialized areas. Probably you might be aware of Pisa as the leading tower city, but around the district we have from Leonardo to many small companies and a large health sets of installations. The ability to apply microgrid concepts in industrialized area, in developed area with a powerful national grid is also as important as the ability to have microgrid in rural Africa, where there is no national grid.
Yeah.
But probably the impact is even bigger because, you know, if we discuss applying a sustainable city in large cities of Europe or part of large cities, this is one of the ways we can do that. If we discuss having, you know, Mumbai or Shanghai becoming sustainable cities, then it means we need to be able to offer high technology solutions. I hope this is somewhat clear. That's my field of research at the moment.
Yeah, I actually have like a lot of questions around sustainability reporting as well. But then I feel like, you know, if we want to talk about it, then probably we need to schedule for follow-up call with you guys for part 2, impact measurement, sustainability reporting, and etc. Going back to Marialuisa. So from a value co-creation perspective, it's like, you know, everyone who's here is very familiar with the value co-creation literature. Through this collaboration, what kind of value or what kind of benefits will both organizations get, you know, both ISSIP and IS?
Yes, there are many things to talk about. I would like to try to outline a possible
and also
general view because yes, and it's fine. I would like to use the T-shaped framework for doing this because this is the T-shaped is a very familiar core concept to the ISSIP community, and I also tried to introduce it to the IAS community. And actually, I use it not only referring to the notion of T-shaped professional, which is one of the way we can approach, but I found the T-shaped in general a very powerful idea.
Marialuisa.
Many different contexts. So I use it, I used it for analyzing the kind of knowledge we can co-create, of course, but that all the community's members are trying to co-creating within each community. So this is a kind of knowledge that we can refer to as a T-shaped knowledge, because you have the main challenge to try to combine, to make, to cross the boundaries between many different disciplines, expertise, sectors, and so on. This is common to the two communities because you have many disciplinary contexts, sectors, and systems that have a very well established corpus of knowledge. So both sustainability and science as a service, as sciences are trying, and this is a common goal, not much to build a new discipline, of course, you are trying to consider a discipline, the service innovation, but more in general, as a corpus of knowledge, both community intentions are to try to combine all the different knowledge that can be, all the perspectives that can be useful to address service innovation on one end and sustainability on the other end. So to me, there is a huge variety of knowledge that we can deal with at vertical level. But what about the horizontal one? My personal study, and I was happy to see that Ralph Badinelli, referring to the T-shape, the professional notion on the website of the ISSIP, used one of our works in which I was co-author with Sergio Barile, Giacomo Franco, and Giancarlo Nota. And in that work, it was published in Service Science in 2012, we tried to reflect upon the building of the horizontal. This is the problem, and also the kind of knowledge that is useful to overcome the silos effect, to overcome the divide, to allow people coming from different backgrounds to be able to understand each other, to talk together, to collaborate, to co-create knowledge. So my question was, is there a kind of knowledge that is really common to any field? And my answer today is still system thinking. And probably today, system thinking could be the answer for these questions more than ever. And also precisely due to, thanks to the aspect of system thinking that was criticized in the 70s, that is to be too abstract, now is probably what we need. In other words, I mean that we need some kind of meta-knowledge with respect to the horizontal bar. So a research field that could be collaborated by the two communities is to work on the building of knowledge that can enrich, that can define both the form and also the substance of the horizontal bar. A kind of knowledge that should be used, that can be used, whatever the context of this disciplinary context of professional context you are working for. And this is, to me, it is a need, a requirement, a fundamental requirement for co-creation. To be able to speak, to talk together, to understand, and we can do this only if we share a common interpretative schemes. And of course, it could be very useful to share value systems, because the value systems can allow overcoming some problems of misunderstanding or some divergences between the interests of the persons involved. So I would say that both sustainability science and service science can be seen as aspiring T-shaped corpuses of knowledge.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you,
for representation. It's easy for me to see the T. Thank you.
Amazing. So we have only 7 minutes left, but I would love to hear both from Fabio and Stefano if you guys have any specific suggestions for, to make happen this collaboration between ISSIP and IS. Could you share with the ISSIP community here?
Yes, if I can start, starting from the words that Marialuisa has just said, even what I was mentioning, so going from theory to action, passes through system thinking. So, we now have in sustainability in industry, in companies, in organizations, a lot of theory. Now we need to really apply the system thinking to this theory, and this system thinking can allow us to, to structure even very useful models of the knowledge of the different indicators of sustainability inside the operations of the companies. From models, we can even build algorithms and useful tools. So what we can do together is to apply system thinking to sustainability and to service, to arrive to have even common tools to apply this approach to the real operation of companies or professionals or societies or associations and so on. So with even some vertical topics, one is energy. Stefano is, I think, even going again on this matter. So energy, we are in an era where we have to pass from fossil fuels to renewables. And in mobility, for example, we have to have a sustainable transport and sustainable mobility. So these are two vertical knowledges where my knowledge, but also our association can be useful with service science organization.
Definitely. Sounds like probably some workshop, between ISSIP and ISSA might benefit, both the organization to brainstorm some ideas around energy, which you've mentioned.
Great.
Definitely, yes.
How about Stefano? Could you share any suggestions from your point of view for this collaboration?
I think I do. Fabio mentioned energy. Now, we are let me disclose something which is certainly not secret. Now entering into an entire new age of energy distribution, production, and consumption. I think of this new years, this next years as a new age, just like when we switched from coal to oil and then to gas and then to renewable mix of production. The energy flows, the international energy flows has been completely disrupted by the geopolitical situation and by which is not just war. I'd like to share a couple of slides if possible, but if not, I can just go on quickly telling you that the energy flows have been completely disrupted. The historical suppliers are almost off the grid now, but huge reservoirs of gas, mostly, but oil too, but mostly gas, have been discovered, for instance, in the southern Mediterranean coast, from Lebanon to Israel, to Egypt, to Morocco, and on the west coast of Africa up to Senegal. And I've been working on this kind of huge amounts, like the example of Lebanon is divided in 9 production zones. Just one of these production zones, by chance, the Italian and French, the explored one, is able to sustain the energy consumption of that country for 100 years. That means there is an amount of energy which is sufficient to whatever kind of needs we have. The development and the distribution of this energy will not go through standard gas duct. We will have power ships, regasifier, special floating units, ships that extract and ships that distribute. There is a huge opportunity to introduce new models of energy distribution and consumption based on the enormous supply of gas as a background and the use of renewables that integrate this production when the renewables, by their own nature, are variable during the day and the months. So the opportunity stands for taking the chance that is coming from this disaster, well, at first sight, a disaster, we can turn it into big opportunities to introduce at micro level, both in rural Africa and in developed Europe. I'm not able to speak about the United States because the energy situation there is completely different. There's quite a different organization. But certainly we have the choice to introduce sustainability technologies at so many levels that I think we just have a wide array of choices. It will be difficult to list them all. If we start with the first 2 or 3 opportunities, I think that's already a bigger job than our life can be enough for.
Thank you, Stefano. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing your thoughts today. We literally have 1:30, so 1 minute and 30 seconds left. Before we close this call, any final thoughts you would like to share? Anyone?
Marialuisa,
Yeah, I would like to close by calling your attention on a project we are now in progress at the IAS that is about education of educators. So education for sustainability, but starting from the educators. So my question is there a possible need also in service science to reflect upon the
We have less than a minute left.
the educators of the professional should be endowed to promote a more sustainable, smarter world in the future. So this is a possible area of collaboration. The competencies of educators for T-shaped innovators.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, ISSIP community. Thanks for tuning in. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Bye.